In this episode, I'm finishing up the 79 series Land Cruiser bonnet conversion on my Patrol. In the last episode, I cut the scoop off and transferred it over to the Patrol and slowly tack welded it in. I've also braced the underneath using the original 79 bonnet skeleton to give it some more strength. And it is now ready for the final stages of bodywork, and we can finally get it painted and see it on the car.
Proudly supported by Superior Engineering, Diesel Conversions Australia, and in part by...
So far we've got the scoop all welded in. We've also done underneath and braced it all. So this thing is feeling really firm. Everything is sealed up and it's ready for some bodywork. Before we go ahead with the bog, I do want to seal up the metal. Now it's always a good idea to seal metal before using filler on it, because filler is porous and it can soak moisture in the air in and then rust underneath the filler, causing cracks and stuff later on. So I'm using some Brunox epoxy primer. This is a special primer that is designed to stop rust and seal in the metal. Now we've only let this sit for about 5 days since we filmed the last episode, and there's already a tiny bit of surface rust building up. We probably should have sealed it in the last episode, but I didn't actually have that product on me. So I'm going to go around with a scuff pad and just lightly scuff everything up and get rid of that top layer of rust. Then I'm going to spray some of that epoxy primer over all the raw metal, and that way it'll be all sealed in. So now I'm going to give it 2 coats of Brunox. Right, so as you can see, we sprayed the Brunox on and it's starting to turn a bright purple, which means that it's eating into the rust and sealing in that metal. So we can apply a filler over the top of this, but we do need to let it dry. So I'm going to lift the bonnet off and we're going to start working on the underneath again. As far as I can see, I have got that over all the welds, over the back side of them, which is great. I've also tried to get in where I've welded on the bracing section in the middle, but so far we are looking good. It's not going to matter if I have missed a bit, because I do have a cavity wax, which is going to allow us to get right in there, because they come with a straw, and we're going to do that after we paint it. So the next step is to paint it. That is the bonnet all blacked up, and you can see it looks a lot better than it being 3 different colors. And you can kind of hardly tell, I mean, you can sort of really tell that we've done it, but if you don't look hard enough, you won't be able to tell. I don't really know if anyone's realized, but on the GQ we have the Dirty Life Enigmas. Now they are off the GU, and I swapped the wheels from the GQ onto the GU, and I friggin' love them on this thing. So these ones here, the ATIs, now they were originally on the GQ, and that's what I bought them for. But I had a photo shoot with King Fab, and I wanted to whack on some nice shiny wheels. And these are now not coming off because they look super good on the GU. So since I stole the wheels for the GQ, obviously need to order another set, because these aren't aggressive enough for the GQ. So I'm getting another set of ATIs for this thing, exactly the same as the GU, and we're going to run the same wheels on the 2 cars. At the moment, these are up for sale, and there's a guy coming this afternoon to buy them. So the mission is to swap these standard GU wheels and tires onto this thing for the time being, and then get another set of ATIs ordered to fit this thing. These look crap, not gonna lie. Right, that's the side mission complete. We've got the old faithful GU Stockos back on and the 4 Dirty Lifes ready to be sold. Definitely looks a bit funny, but we'll get some new wheels on the way and Ron Burgundy will be back. Today I'm using a lightweight body filler. It's actually my favorite to use lightweight because it's very thin with its consistency. If you get it too thick, it's really hard to work with. So you kind of want it thin to smooth it out like butter. So I'm going to start mixing some of this stuff up onto a bit of steel, then we can start applying it onto the bonnet. Right, so that's the first coat. You can see I've got it nice and wide right up to the top of the 2 rollovers. Definitely gonna need another coat on top of that after we start sanding it down, but you wanna do nice thin coats, nice and even, let it dry off, then we can play around with it later. So I'm gonna go ahead, pop you guys on a time lapse, do the rest of the bonnet, let it dry, and then we're gonna start sanding and shaping and get this looking like a factory bonnet. I've done about 5 hours straight of sanding and bogging. I'm bloody over it, so I'm going to be putting on some 2K high build. All right, it is now the next weekend and you can see the bonnet is in high build primer, which is awesome. Now, there is a few imperfections that we're gonna have to sand out. So the sanding is not finished, but hopefully I can get this in paint today and we can see this in its final stage. I've gone ahead and circled all of the highs and lows. From what I can see, it's really hard to tell with this sort of primer on, but you guys can kind of see some of those imperfections there. This side is actually really good, so I'm very happy with this side. I did spend a little bit more time on that side than I did this side, and that is showing. Now, I'm just gonna be using some of that black paint to do a bit of a guide coat. Now, you can actually buy a guide coat, but black paint is a lot cheaper. So I'm just gonna do a light mist over this side, over the front, and over the back side, and then we can start sanding them down. That will show our lows and highs, and we'll know what I need to work on. Right, as you can see, the bonnet is finally sanded. Now, that was very quick for you, but that was about 6 hours of blocking, sanding, bogging, redoing everything, sanding. Now, I've gone ahead, cleaned up the shed, done the drop sheets at the back, because last time when I painted Ron Burgundy, I didn't do any drop sheets and it took me about 3 weeks to clean this shed up. So I decided to whack some of them up today. But we're finally at the stage where we can start thinking about mixing some paint up and painting this bonnet, which is very exciting. Now, when I painted Ron Burgundy, I didn't actually use a guide coat and I regretted it, which is why I've spent that little bit extra time on this bonnet to make it look a little bit better than how this paint turned out. If you look at it down the angle here, it doesn't look too bad on camera, but you see the ripples in the paint. That is stuff that I have missed because I didn't guide coat it. So I did block it, but without the guide coat, you can't really see your highs and your lows, and it just turned out a little bit wavy. So I'm really hoping we get none of those ripples on this. It is quite hard to tell when you are perfectly flat, especially without the guide coat, but even with the guide coat, it's still kind of hard. Probably only got about this much in the tin, so we are going to be spreading it quite thin, which kind of sucks, but I think it is going to be enough. Now, this is only a single stage paint as well, meaning that there is no clear coat. So we really only get one shot at putting this stuff on. It's better to do a base coat, clear coat, if you ask me, but if you're on a budget, the single stage is the way to go. Extremely nervous because if I get this wrong, it means all this hard work is a big waste of time. So I need to take my time and not stress and try and lay this out as flat as possible.
As soon as I started, the paint gun started playing up. Bloody typical. But anyway, that's the first coat. Not really happy with it, but hopefully fix it up with the second coat. I've just finished painting, but we need to wait for all the paint fumes to clear out of the shed before we can come back in here to check it out. So I will see you guys tomorrow.
Good morning. I'm up early to check out this bonnet and it turns out that it's all right, but it's not perfect. It looks pretty good, but it's far from great. I've got a few sanding marks showing through. So not the best, should have stayed on the 600 a little bit longer. Got a little bit of crap sprayed out the gun. And then in the scoop, we now own a little bug in our paint because a bug decided to bloody land in there and die. But guys, have a look at it. It does look sick. I'm very happy with it. And like I said, I'm not a bodywork guy. I'm just doing this in my shed. So overall, I'm pretty happy. Not gonna beat myself up for those small mistakes. Now I did manage to get the paint nice and flat, which is a good thing. I sprayed it on super thick and wet. But if you have a look over here, I'm not sure if you guys are gonna be able to see it, but you can just see my sanding marks coming through. Then you can see all these little blibs and blobs that were spraying out of the gun. So like I said, it ain't perfect, but it's definitely gonna ride for Ron Burgundy. The rest of the car is nowhere near perfect as well. So now there's only one thing left to do, and that's sit it on Mr. Ron Burgundy himself and see what it looks like. So we're gonna get the car in. I'm gonna get Alicia to give me a hand lifting that because it's really awkward. And we'll see this thing sitting on the car, which is the most exciting bit. Holy crap, have a look at Mr. Burgundy. That looks absolutely insane. I am so over the moon with how that has turned out. I was kind of contemplating, because this has taken about 6 full days. I was thinking, geez, I hope this is worth it. But guys, seeing this on, it has transformed the whole car. Now, obviously it's not bolted on. It's literally just sitting on there because we've still got to put the motor in. But guys, very big yes for the 79 bonnet. I am so stoked with how that's turned out. Doing that second lump, I think, has just made this so much better as well, because we could have just cut the scoop out and done it that way. Not even worried about those small imperfections now. You can barely see them. I just had it out in the sun and everything. You could hardly see any of those scratches. So yeah, holy crap. So blown away with that. Now, it would have been nice to see the wheels and tyres on this car and see it all wide and flared out, but obviously we stole them for the GU. Now, those of you with a keen eye would have seen in the background that we do have a box of 5 new ATI rims. Now, big shout out to ATI, they got me these super quick. It literally took like 3 days to come, but these are a Neg 20 offset. So these are gonna go on the GU, and then we'll take the wheels back off the GU with the Neg 38, put them back on this to keep that wide stance on Ron Burgundy. But yeah, we're now at the stage where everything is going to start coming together quite quickly. And I know it's been some boring content lately doing body work and painting and stuff, but it all has to happen to get the final result. So hopefully we'll get back into some more exciting content very soon. And yeah, get the engine in, get this thing running, get it tuned. I'm very excited to finally drive this thing. It's been off the road now for, I think, 7 or 8 months, but yeah, these things do take time. But yeah, if you're not following along, please follow for the content, and we shall hopefully see you in the next episode.